Gamers of the internet, I was in the middle of writing and collecting clips for my next anime video when I got an email from GOG. It was a discount code for a new indie survival horror game called Hollow Body. I have never heard of this game before, but just like everyone else, I'm a bit of a monkey. I see a discount code, and my neurons activate. After looking at the store page and seeing how similar this looked to the OG Silent Hills, I purchased it. I'm incredibly excited for the Silent Hill 2 remake, and I thought this game could satisfy my uncontrollable gluttony as a brain-dead consumer, at least for a few more weeks. At time of writing, I've played Hollow Body for about 3 hours, and I think I'm almost done with it. I've definitely been playing long enough to form a complete opinion of the game. So how is it? Does it live up to the highs of its influences? Or is it an underwhelming imitation? Before we jump on in, please go ahead and leave a like and a comment and a subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate seeing those red notifications. Let's start with the setting. Hollow Body takes place in a cyberpunk future. Apparently, nanomachines crossbred with COVID and created the inevitable final stage of anti-vaxxers. The government pulled a bit of a Raccoon City after this, and sent in airstrikes to destroy the infected city. As if that wasn't bad enough, the city in question is British.
Shut your blacklist! Let me through!
These citizens have truly been forsaken by God. In Hollow Body, you play as a girl named Mika, and your goal is to find Sasha, a friend who's gone missing in the quarantine zone. The first thing you're likely to notice upon entering Spooky Avenue is how not cyberpunk everything looks. The environments feel more like 90s suburbia rather than a dystopian cyber future. This aesthetic is fine, but it seems weird to me to set the game in what's essentially the Blade Runner universe if you're just going to make the environments remind me of my childhood trips to the local park. Something else that's hard for me to ignore is just how repetitive the level design is. It's not bad, it's mostly decent, but a lot of the overworld segments feel pretty identical, both in terms of visuals and gameplay. You run down long streets passing rows and rows of apartments, stores, alleys, and homes. And for the most part, you just run in one direction, go from point A to point B. The overworld of Silent Hill is also somewhat visually repetitive, but it's not as linear as this. You have to make a lot of turns to navigate the town. It takes brainpower and concentration to find your way through. Hollow Body does not follow this design trend. The levels are still serviceable, but they're just a bit disappointing when compared to Silent Hill. The level design of individual dungeons do fare a bit better, but they still come off a little short. The repetitiveness is still present, though to a lesser degree. The dungeons are where most of the combat and puzzles take place, which is the bread and butter of survival horror games. This begs the question, is Hollow Body a French baguette slathered in cream, or a slice of Wonder Bread accompanied with some margarine? Starting with combat, it's Silent Hill. I don't know what to say. You press a button to automatically lock onto nearby enemies, then press another button to fire your murder weapon. It's very simple and not very hard. Nobody is going to compare Hollow Body to Dark Souls. Part of the reason for this game's ease is the lack of enemy variety. In general, the enemies pose very little danger to you, especially in the overworld. In Silent Hill, there's a huge decision over whether or not to turn on the light. When your light is off, enemies have a very hard time seeing you, but your own vision is also severely limited. When you turn the light on, you alert every enemy in time and space to your exact location. In Hollow Body, I'm 90% sure the light does nothing to change how perceptible you are. No matter what, the enemies are more interested in passing butterflies than they are with you. Even if they do see you, they can barely muster enough energy to lazily stroll after you. If there were some enemy types that were a bit more dangerous, I could forgive these guys for having no object permanence. But there just aren't very many enemy types in this game to worry about. The dogs are somewhat dangerous, but that's it. Even then, they have the same weakness as Old Yeller. The guns in this game are really quite strong, making them feel pretty good to use. The firearms are certainly a highlight of this game's combat. I think the melee is also well made, but I'm not really sure. Hollow Body gives you enough spare ammo to fill a Trump supporter's RV bay. You never need to use melee. I certainly didn't. At least after smacking a few bozos to see how it felt. Even if it's easy, shooting enemies into the close quarters combat of dungeons is still fun. I guess Hollow Body gets a pass here. Moving on to the next core gameplay pillar, the puzzles. Most of the puzzles involve finding random items in the world and using them in the right place to progress. It's very point-and-click adventure game. Fortunately, the game never stoops to using moon logic to solve these puzzles. Actually, the puzzles might be a bit too easy. But let's be real, we're all brainless gamers here. Better for a puzzle to be too easy than too hard. If nothing else, I can praise the game's ability to signpost what it wants you to do with the items you have. Sometimes you need to examine an item in your inventory to get more details about it before you can actually use it. I'm totally fine with this approach. It adds a small extra wrinkle to stop the puzzles from being totally brain dead. In the time I played, there was actually one puzzle that stood out as being absolutely goated. The puzzle just involves you needing to find the code for a safe. But in order to figure the code out, you have to look at items in the room and make connections between dates and corresponding events. This is a puzzle that involves logic, some light math, and observation skills. This genuinely felt like an honest-to-God Silent Hill puzzle. It was so good. If there were more puzzles like this, Hollow Body would pass with flying colors. But as it stands, this game's puzzles are just fine. Finally, I think the last thing I should touch on is the story. At least through what I've played so far. As I said before, you play as Mika, someone who's come to the city to find Sasha. Immediately, things go wrong as your space car loses power and sends you crashing to Earth. You had support from a guy named Tax, but with electrical storms in the area, you can't reach him anymore. Even in the future, we aren't free from Verizon Wireless. To re-establish contact, Mika needs to climb to the top of a nearby apartment building. On the way, you get a phone call from this little creeper.
Is anyone there?
You don't belong here.
This character is recurring through the game, and I think their existence is a good showcase of one of Hollow Body's shortcomings, the dialogue. The voice acting is good, great even. The direction is also pretty good. But I think something went awry with the script. Mika rapidly changes between inquisitive and dismissive in her conversations with this voice. Her attitude bounces back and forth faster than a COD player on Adderall. The voice will also say cryptic and creepy things, but there doesn't seem to be any narrative reason for it to say this stuff in this way. Or really to say this stuff at all.
Oh dear. You were doing so well. It's a shame you're not cut out for this.
I guess if I had to describe the conversations in one word, I would use manufactured. It's a shame, because other parts of the game's story are actually pretty good. As you explore, you might find specific spots where you can use your space cell phone to hear conversations between people who have long since died. These segments give some extra flavor to the world. Along with documents you find, you can put together a pretty complete picture of what happened here in the past. But I didn't come here to read item descriptions for crumbs of history. What's going on right now for me to care about? After getting to the top of the apartment building, we're met with an unexpected surprise. There's just a normal guy up here, and it looks like he's planning to take the express elevator all the way to the ground floor. We've all played horror games before. Obviously, this guy is going to give us some cryptic hints, then jump off, leaving us feeling artificially sad about his death. That's what I was expecting. But Hollow Body actually does something pretty subversive here that's really cool. For a brief moment, it becomes a telltale game. You have to manually talk this guy down from jumping, and it's not obvious to me which dialogue options you should pick. There's some real stakes and tension here. At least the feeling of stakes and tension. In my playthrough, I was able to get him to back off of jumping. It's possible this is an unfailable situation. But given this guy's role in the rest of the game, I can totally believe he's disposable here. If you keep him alive, he'll follow you around for the rest of your playtime. You don't really have to escort him or anything. You just instant transmissions to wherever you are. And I'm pretty sure he's both invulnerable and imperceptible to the enemies. Every once in a while as you play, you'll have a quick conversation with Mika about the absolute state of things.
I never thought I'd be thankful to breathe the city air, but here we are.
You couldn't pay me to go back down there. Come on, let's keep moving.
It's nice to hear these dialogues, and they add a lot to the game, but they aren't explicitly important, which is why I suspect he can die at the apartment building. Like most things in this game, the story, by and large, is fine. In some ways, I might sound kind of down on Hollow Body in this video, but that's not really true. I think the game is solid. I've just been comparing it to Silent Hill this whole time. Comparing a game to Silent Hill is like comparing food to a perfectly cooked filet mignon. Obviously, it's unfair to compare Hollow Body to the cream of the crop that is Silent Hill. On its own merits, Hollow Body is fun. It's not incredible. It has its problems, including some pretty egregious bugs. But for the most part, this game is good. I'm certainly interested in what Headwear Games will do next. There's a lot of potential for them to improve and make something that will really blow me away in the future. If you want to play Hollow Body, it's available on both Steam and GOG. I hope this video was informative to you. I also hope I'm not too late to make an impact. It took me a while to make this through my busy life, but it is what it is. If you want to see more things like this, remember to comment and subscribe. I'm absolutely going to make a video like this one on the Silent Hill 2 remake. Unless early reviews are super negative, then I'll skip buying it. So you're going to want to stick around. And in the meantime, try watching another one of my videos. Thank you so much for watching this, and have a wonderful day, everyone.